Want to share a story, take you all the way back to 1998. And in 1998, I moved from Portland, Oregon, all the way to New York City. And in a kind of real life Seinfeld moment, every day on this job in New York City, my office was in Yankee Stadium. So that's my George Costanza moment. What was exciting is when I moved to New York, one of my best friends was living there, a buddy of mine, David Ackerman. And Dave at the time, we had met a number of years earlier when we were flatmates living in central London. And it turns out Dave was managing a bar restaurant in New York City called the Blue Moon Mexican Cafe. If anyone's ever been there, 75th and 1st Avenue in the city. I'm going to show you the logo here in a second, and I want you to pay close attention to this logo because you're going to see it again in a second. This is the logo for the Blue Moon Mexican Cafe. Now, side story, Dave grew up in New York, and in 1997, when I was visiting New York, Adidas happened to do this big deal with the New York Yankees. So I invited Dave if he wanted to come out to a game. And it turns out he had never been to Yankee Stadium. And so Dave, on his first trip to Yankee Stadium, not only saw an amazing game in early April of 1997, he actually got on Sports Center. And so let Linda Cohn tell you the rest of the story.
Plays in Baltimore. We'll have the answer when we get to Philly. Time to stretch when we get to the Bronx. Heading toward the airport.
I don't know if he caught it there, but he actually caught a ball on his first time to Yankee Stadium. He went on the field, which is a major no-no. Luckily, we didn't get thrown out, but he made it on Sports Center. So anyway, sidebar, Dave and I, back in 1998, over some beers, decided that it would be a fun idea to write a book about bar tricks. And we kind of hatched this plan. The idea that he was off on Monday and Tuesday, we would go out and scour New York City for bar tricks. Monday and Tuesday tend to be slower times at bars and restaurants, and we would ask bartenders if they had any tricks, and we would collect them. And lo and behold, over the course of 2 years, we had collected over 100 tricks, riddles, jokes, and stories. And it culminated just 3 years ago. It laid dormant for almost 2 decades. It culminated 3 years ago in publishing the book. And the book is titled Bar Tricks, Bad Jokes, and Even Worse Stories. So it's Good Friday. I thought it would be fun to share a trick, a riddle, a joke, and a story. And we're going to start out with a trick. And you have to understand the book is entirely focused around the tricks. So they are laid out by the different types of tricks that are in the book. And I'm going to share with you today what we would call a glass or a bottle trick. So what do you need for this trick? You need a couple pint glasses. Here are my handy high five pint glasses. And you're going to place them down about 2 inches apart. Then you need a bill, a 1, a 5, a 10, whatever, a 20, or if you're a high roller, a Benjamin. But you need a bill. And then lastly, you typically need a shot glass, but we don't have a shot glass here. We're going to use this little handy dandy. This is pretty cool. This is the box yard, which is a new thing that's coming here to Research Triangle Park in the next couple months. We'll use that. And the idea is that you challenge someone to be able to balance the shot glass on the bill in between the 2 pint glasses. and it's going to be it's impossible, right? And then you reveal how you actually do the trick. And it's a simple thing like this. What you do is you take the bill and you do a process that's called corrugation. And you start to fold it back and forth and back and forth like that. Let's see if we can get this going here. One or two more folds. Back like that. All right, now you've got it. You kind of accordion it a little bit. You put it between the bills and you balance the shot glass on top. So that one's called the balancing act. Again, typically with a shot glass, and it's done by corrugating the bill. All right, so that is our trick. Let's talk about a riddle. And it's appropriate now. We're all indoors now with this coronavirus. We're cooking a lot more from home. Hopefully we're not wasting any food. So here is the riddle. What is the only food that doesn't spoil? What's the only food that doesn't spoil? We'll have the answer to that riddle in the comments. Check it out. Joke. Now, this is not in the book because most of the jokes in the book are about kind of bar jokes and fun stuff. But I figure, hey, it's Easter weekend. Why not tell a joke about a rabbit? So it's a two-parter. Here's the first part. How do you catch a unique rabbit? How do you catch a unique rabbit? It's simple. It's simple. You catch a unique rabbit, this is what you do. You neek up on it. All right, it's not a funny joke, but it's a two-parter. Here's the second part. How do you catch a tame rabbit? How do you catch a tame rabbit? The tame way. You neek up on them too. All right, let's finish with a story, and this is in the book. It is the story behind where does gin and tonic come from. I'm a big fan, especially if the weather's warm, to have a gin and tonic. Very refreshing. Well, it turns out a gin and tonic comes from the British Navy. And when the British sailors, they used to sail on the ships, especially into the tropics, each day they would have to be given lime. In fact, they would call the sailors limeys because they would have to get the lime for vitamin C to prevent scurvy. Now, especially if they went into the tropics, they would also have to take quinine. And quinine is the thing that makes tonic water. It was to fight off malaria. And malaria is in the news now with hydroxychloroquine. But they would have their lime, they would have their quinine. Quinine doesn't taste all that good. And if they behaved themselves, the sailors were rationed a small amount of gin or rum per day. And if you can imagine, it wasn't the best gin or the best rum. So what they would do is essentially take their quinine, they would squeeze their lime, they would put their gin, and they would take their medicine. And that's where gin and tonic comes from. To this day, you'll have people that will say that they're having a gin and tonic for medicinal purposes. So here's the thing. I don't want you to go out and buy bar tricks, bad jokes, and even worse stories, because today on Good Friday, it is part of what I'm doing. It's called the 29 Days of Free eBooks. So if you go on Amazon, download the free ebook today, Friday, April 10th, and that's my gift to you. Have